There are footballers, and then there are forces of nature. Players who don't just score goals, they destroy defenses, silence stadiums, and terrify entire leagues. For years, football searched for the next superstar after the era of Messi and Ronaldo. Then, from the cold mountains of Norway, came a player who looked almost unreal. 6'4", explosive speed, unnatural strength, and a hunger for goals unlike anything football had ever seen. People called him a machine, a robot, a monster. But behind the goals, behind the records, behind the emotionless celebrations, was a boy who grew up in silence, in a country the football world barely believed in. This is the story of Erling Haaland, the boy from Norway who chased football immortality.
Erling Haaland was born on July 21st, 2000, in Leeds, England. At the time, his father, Alfie Haaland, was playing in the Premier League. Football already flowed through the family's blood. But not long after Erling's birth, the family returned to Norway. And that's where the real story began. Norway wasn't Brazil. It wasn't Spain. It wasn't Argentina. Children there didn't grow up surrounded by football glory. They trained in freezing weather, on icy pitches, under dark skies. But for Erling, none of that mattered. Because even as a child, he was obsessed. He wasn't just playing football for fun. He was studying it, living it, breathing it. Friends and coaches noticed something unusual: the competitiveness. He hated losing, even in training, even in small games. And physically, he developed differently from everyone else. Harder, better, faster, stronger. It almost looked unfair. At just 5 years old, Haaland joined Breen FK. The club was small, unknown outside Norway. And even there, nobody predicted global superstardom. Because young Haaland wasn't perfect. His first touch looked rough. His movement felt awkward. He wasn't the polished wonder kid people expected. But there was one thing nobody could ignore. He scored goals. Again, and again, and again. At 15, he was already training with senior players. Defenders twice his age struggled to stop him. Soon, bigger clubs started paying attention. And then came the move that changed everything. Molde FK. At Molde, Haaland worked under manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, a former striker himself. And Solskjaer immediately saw something special. Not just the goals, the mentality, the obsession to improve. While others rested, Haaland trained. While others celebrated, Haaland analyzed mistakes. And slowly, the raw teenager began transforming into a complete striker. Then came one of the first major moments of his career, the 2019 FIFA Under-20 World Cup. Norway faced Honduras, and Haaland did something unbelievable. 9 goals in a single match. The football world suddenly stopped scrolling. Who was this kid? And why did he score like a video game character? For the first time, Europe was truly watching. Soon after, Haaland signed for Red Bull Salzburg. And this was the beginning of chaos. Champions League nights arrived, and suddenly, defenders across Europe had a nightmare standing in front of them. He was fast like a winger, strong like a center back, and finished chances with terrifying calmness. Hat tricks became normal. Goals became expected.
Every week, his name grew louder. Then came the next giant step. Borussia Dortmund, one of Europe's biggest clubs, one of football's biggest stages. And the pressure was enormous. People questioned him. Can he perform in a top league? Can he survive Bundesliga pressure? Haaland answered those questions in less than half an hour. On his Bundesliga debut, he scored a hat trick in 23 minutes. The stadium exploded. The internet exploded. And suddenly, football realized something terrifying. This wasn't just talent anymore. This was a phenomenon.
But every superstar story has darkness. And for Haaland, it came through injuries, muscle problems, fitness setbacks, missed matches. Critics started speaking louder. His body won't last. He's too dependent on power. He's injury prone. For the first time in years, doubt appeared. But what made Haaland different was how he reacted. No excuses, no drama. Just work. Train harder. Recover faster. Return stronger. And every comeback looked scarier than the last.
Then came the transfer that changed football forever. Manchester City. Under Pep Guardiola, expectations were impossible. The Premier League had seen great strikers before, but never someone quite like this. People doubted him again. Can he fit Guardiola's system? Can he score in England? Will he disappear in big matches? Haaland responded the only way he knew how. Goals. Relentless goals. Left foot, right foot, headers, tap-ins, long-range strikes. Defenders looked helpless. Records began collapsing one after another. Fastest goal-scoring starts. Most goals in a Premier League season. And then came history. 2023. Manchester City completed the greatest season in club history. Premier League champions, FA Cup winners, Champions League winners. The treble. The dream every player chases. And standing in the middle of it all was Erling Haaland.
But even after conquering club football, something still felt incomplete. International football. Norway struggled. While stars like Messi and Mbappe battled on the biggest stage, Haaland watched from home. And suddenly, the football world asked an uncomfortable question. Can a player truly become immortal without the World Cup? For Haaland, this became personal. World Cup 2026, the biggest tournament football had ever seen. And for Haaland, maybe the most important journey of his life. Because this was no longer about goals, no longer about records, no longer about proving himself. It was about carrying a nation. A country that waited decades for hope, now looked toward one man. And somewhere deep inside, the little boy from snowy Norway still remained. Still dreaming, still running, still chasing history. Because great players break records, but legends carry nations.